Welcome to the NMAA Seeding and Selection Show for the 2021 State Football Championships. We will release all of the brackets for Class 2A through 6A. We will also hear from some of the coaches. But before we get to that, it seems like every year some people might complain about the seeding they received or the number they didn't get. Many people complain without even understanding how the seeding is done. We've created a video that explains the entire process, but if you haven't watched it, let me give you a crash course. The seeding process is not the NMAA sitting around in a room randomly deciding who should be the 1 seed, 2 seed, etc., etc. It's not that. What it is a process that is all data driven. The following criteria is used to determine a team's seed. We look at finish in regular season district play, head-to-head matchups, wins against district championship teams regardless of class, overall record, max preps rankings, and member school input. Now that's the coach's input and their rankings. That input can sway a team in one direction or another. There is no input given by NMAA staff. Let me repeat that. No input by NMAA staff. It's all data driven based on those criteria points. Did you beat a district champ? Did you have a better record? Were you ranked higher? All of those things. There is no bias for or against any school or team. So hold on to any comments on this school didn't deserve that seed or our school should have been seeded higher. It's all based on the numbers. Now you should all have an understanding of the seeding process. This is a no complaint zone. Let's get to why we were watching this show in the first place. The brackets. We are going to start in Class 2A and the number 1 seed goes to, drum roll please. We really need a budget for a drum roll. Let's work on that. Anyway, JAL is number 1. Their only loss is to Raton. The last time JAL won it all was 1999. Now, you can't talk about JAL without mentioning lineman Roger Carrion, who committed to play for Boise State. 6'5", 295 pounds. He's a big boy. And JAL quarterback Alexavier Carrion is putting up great numbers. Against Texaco, Alexavier rushed for 7 touchdowns and 586 yards. He himself accounted for 647 total yards of offense in that game. Head coach Dusty Giles is in his second season with the Panthers. He won multiple state titles with Escalante.
I've got my son, Austin. He's on the team, and we're having this great season, and I'm getting to share that with him. I think that's that's definitely a big plus for me. We came out here. I didn't know anybody when I came here, and the players have really rallied around and really taken to the culture that I'm trying to build. I believe the community is very excited about what we're doing, and so as far as this football season goes with me, this is one of the better I've ever had, and I've had some decent ones.
JAL is the number 1 seed. Now, just to give you an example of how the seeding is done, this is the comparison between JAL and Tularosa. We take the 6 criteria points and compare the 2 schools. They both finished as district champs, so no one gets a point there. JAL finished higher in the max preps ranking, so they get a point over Tularosa. Tularosa had a better win percentage, so they get a point. JAL beat a district champ, Texaco, so there's another point there. JAL finished higher in the coach's input, so they get a point, and the 2 schools didn't play head-to-head. So based on those 6 criteria points, when you compare those 2 schools, JAL won 3 of the criteria points, and Tularosa only won 1. So by a 3-1 score, JAL must be seeded higher than Tularosa. We do this with every team in every class, and that is how the seeding is done. That should give you a clearer picture of how every team is seeded tonight. Let's take a look at the Class 2A bracket. JAL will take on Estancia. Capitan and Texaco square off this coming weekend. Eunice is a 3 seed. Eunice is 6-3 with losses to Raton, Lubbock Christian, and JAL. The Cardinals won it all back in 2019. It was their 3rd straight title that year. Eunice will host Hagerman, and the last matchup of the bracket is Lordsburg against 2 seed Tularosa. Tularosa is undefeated at 6-0. They've only given up 20 points all season. This is Pat Ward's first year with the team, which is a young bunch.
This particular group of kids, I think they've had it rough the last few years. And I just kind of stepped on the grass at the right time. And with the experience, 4 decades and being sincere, they bought in real quick.
Moving on to Class 3A, the number 1 seed top honor this year is Raton. Junior running back Caden Walton averages over 180 yards a game. He is strong and elusive. The unbeaten Tigers haven't won a state football championship since 1956. They last played in the title game in 1996. This year has been a memorable season for Raton.
After that first game, going down to Eunice and driving 8 hours and being really, really hot and all these things going against us, and defending state champs for, 3 or 4 years, and coming out and playing the way we did, especially with just, if we had 21, 22 kids, at that time. And I seen, you seen it there, and I told the kids that night we showed what we could be, and then after the Robertson game that night, we showed what we are, and I believe truly in my heart we're a state championship caliber team.
There are 12 teams in this bracket, so the top 4 get a bye. And here are the top 4. Socorro earned a 2 seed and a bye. The Warriors only have 1 loss on the year to St. Michael's. Robertson is the 3. They beat St. Michael's 2 weeks ago, and St. Michael's is the 4 seed. Who else is in the field? Let's look at the bracket. Hope is the 8 seed. They will host Navajo Prep in the opening round. New Mexico Military Institute is a 5 and will take on Theroux. West Las Vegas is the 6. Don's running back Damian Gallegos is the state's touchdown leader, by the way. They get Cobre. Cuba is a 7 and will face the Dexter Demons. The winner moves on to Socorro. Now back to New Mexico Military Institute. NIMI had a big win over Hope Christian a couple weeks ago. 1965 was their last football championship. Head coach Randy Montoya has been at the Institute for 11 years, and he says it's been about 17 years since they've had a team of this quality.
Don't be satisfied. That was my message as soon as we got done this past Friday night. Yes, it was a great victory, great win, but we can't be satisfied. Here at the Institute, we don't get teams like this very often. So let's make the most of it and just stay focused, and let's kind of rewrite history is kind of what we've been talking about these past couple of weeks. So so far so good, but again, it's up to the kids to keep their minds level and focused, and just continue getting better at what we do.
On to Class 4A. The top dog this year is a cat. The Lovington Wildcats. They won it all in 2011 when they capped off their three-peat. That program has 18 state championships. This is the 5th season for head coach Anthony Gonzalez. They have some senior receivers. Their offensive line's a little young. Their running back, on Dallas Cardenas, is only a freshman, and he stepped it up during district play. The Wildcats are district champs for the first time in a decade.
It's hard to believe that 4 years ago, we were coming into this last game of the year and we were 1-8. And so it's definitely been a lot of hard work going into it. Each year we've gotten better and better each year. And so I really do feel like in the spring, if that team that we had, I feel like if we would have got a full season, that team would have competed for a blue trophy. I feel like it was that talented of a football team, but we lost a lot of really good football players off of that last year's team. And so I think the biggest difference with us right now is each senior group that we get, they want to leave this program better than they found it.
Now, before we move on, I want to give a hats off to both the Lovington Wildcats and Ruidoso Warriors. If you haven't seen this, it's a memorable moment. And if you have seen it, it's worth watching again. Near the end of the Lovington-Ruidoso game 2 weeks ago, Isaiah Martinez, a Lovington player with Down syndrome, was given the ball and rushed his way to the end zone. And when he crossed the goal line, his Lovington teammates rushed the field, and the Ruidoso players ran over to celebrate as well. Definitely a compete with class moment and a memory these kids will remember forever.
We rush the field and meet them in the end zone, and then all of a sudden I look over and you just see a wall of gold and white come running from their sideline, and it was unbelievable just to see every single one of those kids sprint off of that sideline, with the exception of 11 that were on the field that played it perfect. I mean, just springing into the end zone and getting excited for him. I mean, it took my breath away. At the end of the day, yes, we want to win football games. Yes, we want to win championships. I get that. But at the end of the day, this sport right here has a whole lot more meaning than what happens between the first quarter and the last quarter. And so that's a life lesson that I know for sure our kids, they'll take with them for the rest of their life. And so, and then on the flip side of that, I think how humble they were to be able to do that, and then to celebrate with Isaiah. It shows a lot about the character of that football team, a direct reflection of their head coach and coaching staff over there. So it was just an awesome moment for Isaiah, and I know he'll remember that for the rest of his life. And so just really, really proud of how both teams responded during that situation.
Bloomfield had back-to-back appearances in the state final in 2018 and 2019, but they haven't won it all since 1966. Bloomfield is young. Quarterback Ryan Sharp battled through injury this year, but he's back out there. And Mark Armenta is one of the top receivers in the state. Both are juniors. They are under first-year head coach Mike Kovacs, who took over for Bob Alcorn.
We built the mantra that we're going to reload, we're not going to rebuild. And I knew that what we had in the wings, I know what we got in the future. And Bloomfield football, it looks good for us.
Let's take a look at the top 4 in 4A. Bloomfield earned a bye. They are the 2 seed. St. Pius is 3. The Sartans won it all in 2016. They edged out Albuquerque Academy for the district title on Thursday, 14-13. Close game there. And Moriarty is the 4 seed. The Pintos are 6-2 and have won their last 6 games, outscoring their opponents 238-52 during that 6-game stretch. Now let's take a look at the bracket. Silver is 8 and Kirtland Central is 9. Academy is the 5 seed. Academy has never won a state title in football. They've only played in the final twice. The Chargers will host Bernalillo. Ruidoso is 6 and will take on Aztec in the opening round. Valencia is the 7 seed and will take on Taos. The winner will face Bloomfield. Bloomfield's only loss this year was to Valencia. 2 more brackets to go. Let's talk Class 5A. We had a couple undefeated teams at the top, and this year's number 1 seed is Farmington. Farmington is unbeaten, taking down rival Piedra Vista on Friday night. They've shut out their opponents 6 times this season. Farmington has outscored their opponents by 443 points. The Scorpions won it all in 2013. They currently have a 15-game win streak dating back a couple seasons. You could make a case this is one of the most successful stretches for the Farmington football program.
It's awesome. I played in this program when it was really struggling, and it's hard to do. It's hard to show up, and some of these guys, even just a few years ago, have had their ups and downs. And the most important thing is that we represent our community. We have a resilient community, and that's what we want to be on the field, and we want to represent them the best we can.
Los Lunas, also unbeaten, has 4 shutouts on the year. Los Lunas wrapped up the regular season with a win over rival Belen. The Tigers have never won it all, but played in the final in 2018 and 2019. Head coach Greg Hennington took over the program this season. It's a slightly different offense than they've had in the past, but they're still putting up big numbers.
Well, I think it's been a tough transition, 2 different styles of offense, but the guys have had an open mind about it, and they've done everything we've asked them to do. So I think they're really getting into the physical aspect of it, and they're starting to really enjoy running the ball.
Let's take a look at the first 4. Los Lunas is the 2 seed on the other side of the bracket from Farmington. Roswell earned a bye. They are getting hot at the right time. They lost their first 4 to start the season, but they've won their last 3 games, including a win over Artesia on a 2-point conversion. Artesia, led by former Bulldog Jeremy Maupin, has 3 losses on the year to Carlsbad, Cleveland, and Roswell. Artesia has more state titles than any other football program in New Mexico, their last one coming in 2017. Now let's take a look at the rest of the bracket. Santa Teresa is an 8 seed and will face Piedra Vista. Santa Teresa is 8-2 with their only losses to Lovington and Mayfield. Mayfield is 5 against Los Alamos. The winner will take on Artesia. Goddard gets Valley. And I have to mention, after a rough start, the Vikings and Judge Chavez have won 3 of 4. Belen is your 7 seed, and they will take on Deming. Last but not least, Class 6A. And there is no secret who earned the number 1 seed this postseason. That's the Cleveland Storm. Cleveland is unbeaten. They have quite the weapon in Evan Weissong, one of the top athletes in the state, and he's only a junior. Cleveland clinched the district title Friday night with a come-from-behind win against previously unbeaten Rio Rancho, behind 4 rushing scores by Lucius Dixon. The Storm are on a 19-game win streak dating back a couple seasons, despite the fact they lost some key seniors after last year's COVID-shortened season.
They've kind of exceeded expectations, honestly. I knew they were going to work hard. I knew there's a lot of talent here. Just we were worried about that learning curve with the lack of experience this group had, but they kept up with that learning curve and they have impressed.
Here are the top four. Probably not a surprise to many. Rio Rancho is number 2 seed. The Rams had a fantastic year with their only stumble coming against Cleveland. Running back Zach Vigil and quarterback Dominic Pretty are both seniors. La Cueva, their only loss is to Rio Rancho. Junior quarterback Aiden Armenta has put up some good numbers this year, over 2,000 yards passing. And Centennial is the 4 under head coach Aaron Ocampo. The Hawks are 8-1. Since losing their opener to Cleveland, they've put together a string of 8 straight wins. They've scored 35 points or more in all 8 victories.
We talk about this time of year as carpe diem, seize the day. You know, we don't know when our last day is going to be. The teams that advance, I told our team the other day, the teams that advance are the teams that really want to advance, are the teams that really have a passion for playing together and playing with each other and wanting to get into that championship game and win that championship game. And I think that's the biggest thing is just play our best football at the time that we need our best football. And I really want our kids to enjoy the moment of playing in the postseason because it's a lot of fun. I don't want us worried about things or anything like that. I want us playing loose and really enjoying it. I feel like at the time we've been at Centennial, we've played well in the playoffs. Sometimes we've lost, sometimes we've won, but we've always played well in the playoffs. So I'm really hoping our kids come along and we play well in this year's playoffs.
Speaking of football down south, Las Cruces has 8 state championships on their resume, the last one coming in 2013. Mark Lopez has been in charge of the program for 6 years. He says at this time of year, it's all about staying healthy and catching a few breaks.
We've had some years where we won state championships where we were really dominant. And then we had some years that we got some breaks, and there's nothing wrong with either one of those, but I think right now, because of some of the depth issues that we all have here in the city right now, I think you're going to have to be able to survive a season without, a lot of significant injuries and then get into the post with some health.
Now let's take a look at the rest of the bracket. Las Cruces is the 5. They will match up against Clovis. Also in the top half of that bracket, Hobbs 8 against El Dorado 9. Moving down the list of matchups, Volcano Vista is 6. They will prepare for Carlsbad. Cibola Junior quarterback Aiden Chavez is one of the most talented quarterbacks in the state. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards and more than 24 touchdowns. The Cougars will face Sandia. The winner moves on to take on Rio Rancho. Don't forget, you can watch the state championship games this fall on the NFHS network, so get a subscription and log on so you can watch the championship matchups. That's going to do it for our football seeding and selection show. Good luck to all the teams involved, and remember to compete with class.